Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We've Read the Documents live stream. Dudes Talking, episode 64, off the cuff with Ensemble Vide. Ensemble Vide, are you there, brother?
I'm here, John.
Well,
How you doing?
I'm okay. You and I were going to discuss current events, and we probably still are. However, I sat down, and I was listening to podcasts as I always do, and I saw that came up in Gramerica's feed. Alex Zakaris came up, who I've been on Skeptico twice. I thought Alex and I were friends. I thought we got along well. I've never, we had a heated debate last time, but I never, to my knowledge, said anything wrong against it. If I insulted you, Alex, I apologize. But now I'm not so sure, actually. Graham brought me up and appropriately got the context that I was trying to convey at one point during the interview that Alex and I did on Skeptico when I discussed the Finders operation. And then Alex kind of went on a very short and brief heated diatribe. I understand that Alex has now become very rabid anti-religion, specifically anti-Christianity. He's, in a true manifestation of the word, an anti-theist at this point. Not necessarily an atheist, but actually an anti-theist. So, let me play it and we'll discuss it. Okay?
All right.
And the ignorance of, they have this ignorance about what's going on, right? And they, like you've quoted there, it's not about belief. You're saying it's not about belief because they're saying, well, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's because they believe it is. Well, and like you're saying, no, it's bigger than that. It's way more important than that. It is. What if it is real? And I mean, like we know from people that have been looking at the extended consciousness and magic and all this stuff, like if there is a ritual ceremonial aspect to this, that could be pretty heavy and pretty scary. And we should know about that. But we can't even tease that apart from Epstein and 14-year-olds. I mean, this is the problem. It all gets lumped into one intangible, thing that's going on in the world. We don't know. We have all these numbers because when we think about evil, and I can't believe you said the same thing, because my mind goes there when I think about evil. What is it? It's messing with kids, whether it's sexual abuse or killing them or whatever.
That is, in my opinion, the destruction of innocent is the personification of evil.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's pretty apparent. I think most people naturally will recoil, and most men will get extremely angry and want to throttle built into us. That's the most obvious, one of the more obvious personifications of evil. So, yeah, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's continue.
Whole adrenochrome thing. That whole thing seems like the epitome of evil.
Adrenochrome's a myth. It's real, but the actual narrative that's put forth out there to the public is it's not a myth, actually. It's, I guess the correct termination is misinformation.
It's to discredit.
Yeah.
Mostly. Perhaps there's some of that going on, but the hyping of it as like the thing and the way that it's talked about, it seems to be one of those things where it's like, oh, these people are crazy.
Yeah, ritual human sacrifice and ritual abuse has existed for a very long time in human history. It does exist. Now, whether or not they're harvesting adrenochrome, no, they're not. I need to finish up that PowerPoint presentation. that aspect of it, I believe, to be inserted misinformation from the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie into the public consciousness.
Well, or the CIA, or
Yes,
like
but there is power in the blood, no less. I mean, there are blood rituals. I mean, I'm
yeah,
not
that's not to
discrediting that.
discredit that there are energies and working at play. People who are consciously, willfully manipulating scenarios and taking life in a very ritualistic way. They believe, and I believe they are working with dark forces and dark energies and harvesting something that isn't just material. There is a metaphysical dimension to our existence here and to creation.
Yes, I agree with that. So let's continue.
But it's tied into this whole thing where there's overblown numbers of, there's 800,000 missing kids a year. Like, where are people getting these numbers from? That's not helping. I don't think that's helping the cause.
I figured out where that number comes from. That's the number of kids that go missing every year, but like 90,
a lot of them are found,
95% of them are...
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, tons go missing and you never hear about it.
Yeah.
98% of them go back.
Some go missing, you never hear about it. Majority are found. That we do know of. The numbers aren't as high as people like to try to make it out to be. But even though if one goes missing or one is trafficked or one is molested, that is too many. But you have to be honest when we're discussing the facts. Because to argue to anyone that this exists is difficult enough. We shouldn't try to make unsubstantiated claims that get used a lot. It makes it very difficult. There are people to this day.
Yeah, because it just
go ahead.
It just turns into these catchphrases or these sloganeering phrases that people use to define their idea of what is happening. And if tons of people are using those phrases and those slogans to talk about it, and they don't have any depth of understanding beyond that, then when they are trying to go out and proselytize or to make other people aware of the issue that they're concerned about, but they actually don't have any hard knowledge, then they look like fools. Every attempt that you make to convert somebody or bring them to awareness, most common, like average people, normie people, are just going to think, man, this guy is like way off the edge. Because this sounds ridiculous to a normal person that doesn't dig into a lot of this type of material.
Yeah, Keith Sweet mentioned in the chat the Turkish news channel did a bit on adrenochrome. Have we all seen it? I have. My belief is that is propaganda put forth by in conjunction somewhere with Michael Flynn. Very similar to the Pizzagate narratives that are being pushed here in the United States. More to come on that when I do my adrenochrome presentation. And we're not going to say that there isn't abuse that is non-ritual. Yes, that exists too as well. It exists probably in greater amounts. And the thing is, when you're trying to argue to people, because they labeled the whole satanic panic narrative in the 1980s about none of those cases happening. Again, as I have brought forth with evidence, and will continue to do so, in many of these cases, at the bare minimum, children were abused in very large numbers, including McMartin Preschool and Glendale Montessori School, for example. And to say otherwise, the people have not read court documents and they're extremely misinformed. I mean, there's people who still say that the Franklin scandal didn't happen, or the finders. That is bull crap, and I will argue against anyone who said that that there was not any type of trafficking of children of sort that were occurring in both of those cases. And so it is important to have the discussions of trying to show the evidence, which a lot of people don't do. And I know people who become very passionate about this. They kind of pull the cart before the horse, but facts matter. When you're trying to determine whether or not something is true, and even if you find out it's not, you can't report it that it is true. And you also can't cover, for people whom you discover that are working, within your own midst, like Train and Dave Tadashini were with the Pizzagate investigators, and how that they were convicted for crimes against children, and Gunk was Mr. Gunk, fully sourced, was grooming. These people didn't. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Some of them did lukewarm, but a lot of them didn't call these people out or separate them or say, "Oh man, we screwed up. We had no idea." They didn't take responsibility. I mean, that's abhorrent. I mean, if we're going to try to bring this stuff out, we have to be able to hold each other to some sort of accountability, and on top of that, at least try to present the truth the best that we can discover. And then when we're wrong, admit it. That's all.
And, that's just human nature, too. I mean,
yes.
People, especially in this alternative sphere, like, they think they're trying to do something good, right? And they get caught up. They start getting traction. They start getting some momentum. And just like anything else, just like in, the music world, talking about underground music, and they get a record deal and all of a sudden something changes. It's like, once you start to get momentum, you got interlopers that are going to come around and start to try and subvert you and unveil you into their, and this is sophisticated. I mean, most of alternative media has been infiltrated and subverted, just like most of the churches have been infiltrated and subverted, just like most of our public and social institutions have been infiltrated and subverted. Evil never sleeps.
No.
And you can, if you wanna use some sort of like free-floating, like, because I feel like this is wrong, then that's evil epistemology. That's fine. I don't think that that's as rock solid as a Christian, strongly rooted Christian philosophical and theological understanding of the nature of reality and the nature of humankind and metaphysics involved and the cosmology of evil, the universe. I think that that's a nice framework and scaffolding to be able to map these things out so that we can track them and understand them.
Mm-hmm.
But people, like, getting back to the point where I wandered off a bit. But when you're running and when you're working, and you get opportunities to work with some people who's got some credibility, and you've heard them speak before, and these agents whose specific intention is to get in with these groups and convince them that you're one of them. And they can tell you all kinds of truth, spin you all kinds of good yarns, but their main goal is just to put a little bit of poison too. And that's all they need, is if they can place the right poison in the right place, they can cause a world of trouble. And once you have already accepted them in their persona, you're less critical of what they're feeding. And that's how disinformation gets into the network and starts corrupting people's perspectives. And it only takes a little bit, because that's all they need. They just need to create confusion, or they need to create sort of what's the word I'm looking for? They need to create dissonance within the group itself, so that you have some people who the people that are a little bit more critical, who are going to say, hold on, something about that isn't right. But because this persona is there and everybody's put investment into them and gotten so much good material from them, they're going to jump on board and start attacking the person who's trying to remain integral and maintain their integrity.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. Cause that infighting, and so you get people wasting their time arguing about stupid stuff. Most of the time it's really stupid things that are really a complete waste of time. But that ends up creating that drama and consuming tons of people's time, energy, and mental resources thinking about that stupid drama instead of actually focusing on the matter at hand.
Wait. YouTube is Days of Our Lives? I would have never guessed that. Oh, it is. All right, let's continue.
Yeah.
That's just the number of reports.
That's kind of what I thought. Number of reports.
And probably half of those are panic, your kid's on the other side of the block, and you're like, holy fuck, my kid's missing.
Yeah. So they misconstrue that, I would say. It's not fair to say people get the sense that,
somebody's taking that number and running with it.
That's what I mean. It's not. It doesn't help the case at all. It's you've got that on the one extreme, and then you've got the other extreme where people are just ignoring the. I don't even want to use satanic, because it's not fair to really use that word, because it seems just evil. But it might not be satanic. For some people, they might be doing a rituals ceremony that's not to Satan. It might be to something else. But that just gets ignored completely. Oh, it's not happening. People can't even talk about it.
What do you think about that? Why do you?
There is a difference between LaVey Satanism, which in a lot of cases that's just hardcore atheism, and actually people who worship Satan and do satanic rituals and disrespect completely Jesus Christ with and God. That even I would argue that LaVey Satan is still emboldened the spirit of the Antichrist, but there is a differentiation between the two.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different flavors out there.
Yes. All right, let's continue.
Kind of pull up on the satanic thing. I mean, just take that, swallow that satanic ritual abuse. There's these people.
I feel like it's got that religious connotation to it. That might not be fair to people. There might be people that have a different view of Satan. I mean, we've heard it before. I'm not defending it at all. But like John Brisson was asking you, maybe you should. Why can't we just call it ritual abuse, right? Or maybe ceremonial ritual abuse.
I don't think that's where John's coming from.
That was my argument. Thank you very much, Graham, for presenting my argument that I presented to Alex when I was discussing it with him when I was on Skeptico talking about the Finders. Thank you for adequately taking out that I'm a Christian and that I'm able to, argue separate from that as well, even though, yes, Christianity is my worldview, but, I am able to separate and argue when necessary a separation from that. And that was my exact argument, was that, hey, Alex, you're not a Christian, and you know what? You hate Christians. So let me ask you, why are you calling it satanic ritual abuse? Huh? Why are you using the term SRA? Why don't you call it ceremonial ritual abuse or just ritual abuse?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alex did not have a good answer to me when I pressed him then. So what does he do here? Does he try to clarify his argument, or does he get arrogant and I guess try to attack me?
Well, can you fill me in, because I didn't hear that exchange that you guys had in that discussion you had. So when this originally came up, you guys were on discussing, what exactly transpired? So you presented this idea. It sounds to me like you're trying to build bridge. You're saying, okay, let's take my Christian worldview and set that aside. We don't need to poison this with, or not necessarily poison. We don't need to taint this with my worldview.
Yeah.
Let's just be rational about it, and let's rephrase it so that it's not, doesn't have this tinge of ideology to it, because I think we can all agree that there is such a thing as ritual abuse or habitual abuse or ceremonial abuse. As we discussed earlier, it's something that's been happening for thousands and thousands of years, right? All the way back to our earliest records of mankind. That's been going on. So it's nothing new. And I would argue, as much as the ritual abuse of children, which seems to me to be more of just a delicacy, a private fancy, and some sort of a power harvesting practice by people who are in the upper echelons and have power and wield it freely without any restraint. It's not only the children who are ritually abused. The whole planet is being ritually abused through their ceremonies and practices. But that's another conversation altogether. And that's not.
I'm going to play it for you real quick, okay? Now, another thing that happened in this interview, and you guys are welcome to go back and listen to it, was I was trying to go by what I know, okay? And that's why I'm writing this book. And yeah, some people might get upset with me because I'm not going to make any grandiose claims that I can't back up. So I've tried to prove the allegations that Mary Arico, or Joy Dorico is her real name, made claims to the Tallahassee detectives and to the Florida caseworkers for Health and Human Services, that and there was attentive examination by a doctor that she was molested, and that was later taken back. Okay. And so when you're listening to this article or interview with me and Alex, the funniest thing is I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, so this is what I can prove. This is what I can prove about the finders. This is what I can prove. Okay, I can prove that they were in bed with the Central Intelligence Agency, specifically Marion Petty. I can prove that there were some trafficking that was definitely going on. But I can't necessarily prove that the children within the finders operation in and of themselves, the 7 children during the Tallahassee incident, that were documented, that they were molested. Okay. And Alex is like, okay, so like, it's interesting because I'm playing the rational one in the conversation. If you go back and listen to it, and Alex is playing literally the conspiracy theorist. And he gets upset at me because I'm not going all the way and saying stuff that I can't prove during the interview, you know? And
is that what it is?
Go listen to it when you get a chance, because he pretty much tries to call me out, and I'm the one that's trying to be like, look, I can only go rationally with what I can prove, you know, about all of this. That's why I started to research the finders in the first place, because I wanted to know if Ramon J. Martinez's account was actually true. And I even mentioned in the article, I'm writing this book to vindicate that man. I mean, yeah, he's a curmudgeon. He won't talk to me, but nonetheless, he's a hero. All right. And that's what I've tried. Okay, so I was like, with the finders, okay, what can we prove? And is the story of Ramon J. Martinez true? That's all I've ever done. I'm not going to substantiate things for clicks and for people to read my book. I've never done that, and I never will do that. At least I hope to God I won't, okay?
I've never known you to do that. I know that sometimes you run off with something that you think you've got.
I have, yes, that's true.
You always admit it.
Yeah, I admit when I'm wrong. And so the thing is I don't get why, like when you listen to that interview, it's like the roles are reversed, and then let's play when Alex starts, and I expected this. I'm not going to say that I didn't, and I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy myself. I've always had pleasant conversations with Alex. I like you, Alex. I just don't know why all of a sudden, like, if I've ever said anything, ill towards you, let me know. But like, I don't get. We'll get to what you said. I mean, it's not an insult to me. You think it's an insult. I'm glad you called me what you called me. But let's play the exchange that we had back on Skeptico for a minute.
Well, let me say something real quick
go ahead.
too, because I was, I get lost in conversation, and I didn't want anybody to think out there that I was characterizing him as, being one of these agents. I was just explaining a phenomenon that occurs when I was talking about how there are individuals who seek to undermine and corrupt and cause division and discord within the alternative media. So I wasn't saying that that this guy himself is one of those people. I was just explaining a phenomenon, because that's, and he could be getting ideas from somebody who's planting those kinds of seeds. I don't know, or maybe he just, so I'm not passing judgment.
I know. All right, let's play it.
Leading up to. I said, well, what about the satanic part? Because I just talked to Russ, and he's big on the satanic. She goes, oh yeah, it was satanic ritual abuse. And I was like blown away, like my stomach drops. Because here's somebody, and she presents as this kind of European, and she doesn't like to throw that out there. But when she's pushed, she says, of course, yeah, it's satanic. So I think we need to process that in a way.
She's talking about what happened to Annika Lucas.
That gets us to that next level. Because you're Christian, and I don't respect anyone's religious beliefs. I'm sorry, I don't respect your religious beliefs. I don't respect anyone's religious beliefs, because we're not supposed to. We're just supposed to follow the data. We're not supposed to have, you don't need me to be kind to you or not poke at you because you have certain beliefs. You put your beliefs out there and you have to back them up. And that's what everybody does. But I want to get to that next. You are going to be attacked, and you know this, and I'm sure you already are, as a crazy Christian who is trying to jam everything back into a Christian narrative. And I want to talk, so that's one of the reasons I want to talk about this and talk about, we just had a 2-hour discussion.
Interesting. Then why did you attack me on Grammarica, Alex? At least from your point of view, you sure as hell did. All right?
Yeah, he distinctly pointed out your Christian ideology, so it seems to be relevant there when he was attacking you, and utilizing it as a bludgeon or some sort of a mark to besmirch you. Where if he was simply after the truth, the data, as he says, then he should just merely be presenting data, not attacking the man and his belief system. But that's where his whole, I'm sorry, when I heard him say, like, I understand, I think what he was trying to say was, I'm only interested in the truth, and that, but here's the fact of the matter is, it's a little more complicated than that. facts are dead things, in case he doesn't realize that, because that's a very scientific, which is another belief system, which maybe he doesn't understand that he's falling into. But facts are dead things. They have to be transmuted through man's understanding, and each of us as living beings, cognizant beings with reason and hopefully rationality, we all come with our own experiences and baggage and different perspectives and worldviews and means of trying to interpret meaning. So, I mean, it seems to me that he's just, I don't want to go too far. I don't know this guy. This is the first time I've heard anything from him. But it is an issue that I do see elsewhere as well. People, planting their flag in a camp on a hill and saying, well, all those people over there, I can identify them as this, and them as that. And once I hear that they're this, that, or the other, if I see their colors, then I can write them off and characterize them as in a coarse manner, without actually wrestling with and trying to get to the deeper meaning, because we all have our different ways of expressing things, and we have our fundamental worldviews, and we use different language sometimes, and sometimes we use language that we all understand, but the guy sitting across from you using the same language has totally different meaning attached to his understanding of the words that he's using than you do when you use those words. And so that's where I think part of the problem here lies, is there is, which I picked up on early on with some of the first segments that you played. It's like it's kind of a semantic thing, kind of a Gnostic semantic, deviation or like the communication it's missing. There's assumptions coming perhaps on both sides that aren't being clarified, and once that happens, then that old saying, assumptions make an ass out of you and me, right?
Yes, you're right. Let's continue
discussion, and you didn't bring up Christianity at all. You just said this document followed by this document followed by this police report followed by this investigator who I talked to who said this. So that's not been your agenda. But now, as a skeptical guy, I want to know, why the hell do you want to jam this back into a Christian narrative? Why do you think it has to be? One of the things that really kind of pissed me off, John, is in the email you sent me, you kind of said, yeah, as long as it all leads back to Christianity. Why? Why does this evil have to lead back to this narrow, dogmatic little book that is just one description of what this universal evil that's been reported by every culture throughout time, whether Christian or not? Why do we need to jam it back into the Christian narrative?
You have atheist reporters and investigative journalists. For example, George from CavDev.org, Dave McGowan, who reported satanic ritual abuse. People who are either agnostic or don't believe in God or religion, period. Who definitely don't believe in Christianity, like myself. They came to the same conclusion, that the elites are participating in satanic ritual abuse. Satan primarily being the adversary in the Old Testament and the adversary in the New Testament. So my question to you is, to throw it back, is yes, I might frame it as such because of my own personal faith and my own personal beliefs, as being satanic ritual abuse. And I'd ask you, well, why don't you frame it as, why do you use the term satanic when, why wouldn't you just use ritual abuse? Why wouldn't you just use religious ritual abuse?
I mean, that's Graham got that was my argument. Am I missing something? Ensemble Vide? Am I missing something, chat?
That sounds pretty reasonable.
Did my argument make sense, Robert?
Yeah, it made perfect sense. I thought that was a very reasonable middle. Let's meet in the middle of the road where we're trying to avoid, my ideological, coloring. And you want to talk about evil? Let's just talk about evil. When he said, "Why does it always have to come back to this?" That's actually kind of an insult to you, in a sense. I'm sure. Let me put it another way. Why does it always have to come back? Well, because that's one framework that actually works, and historically has been one of the only frameworks which has been through which people have utilized it in order to have clearly realized it, in order to fight evil collectively. I'm not saying that those institutions haven't been corrupted. However, sorry, we need to step away for just a moment here.
Okay, I'll continue playing it to finish up with Alex's.
Those people look at it objectively, who are not Christian, and see it as such, with the inverted pentagrams, the references to Satan that the world elite use. So if they look at it as that, then, I mean,
I get you.
they're objective as they are, objective as they are, because they're not looking at it through my lens. Now, granted, do I do my best to look at it objectively outside of my faith? Yes. Do I believe ultimately that this all leads to Christianity to some degree, or Judaism as far as the beliefs in Satan, the beliefs of good and evil, God versus Satan? Yeah, I do. But someone like Dave McGowan, that's not the case. Someone like George from CavDev.org, that's not the case. Now, Russ Dizdar, yes, he's a Christian, so he's going to look at it through that lens. But these other people who are not are also, because the elites practice it in such that regard, look at it and through that lens too as well. So again, what do you have to say?
Thank you. Thank you for teeing up an excellent question in this vast unplowed field that exists out there between atheism and Christianity or some other dogmatic religious belief. John, I have a ton of respect, like I've already said, for the work that you've done. Here's where I'm coming at it from, and you know this from having listened to some of the Skeptico episodes.
Yes, of course.
I have no doubt that Christ consciousness is real. I don't know what Christ consciousness is, but I accept the scientific data that leads us to the conclusion that consciousness does exist. It's real. We are not biologic robots in a meaningless universe. And the other data that you just get to scientifically, which is that near-death experience is real, right? So we have the best cardiologists in the world and resuscitation experts and radiation oncologists, 200 peer-reviewed journals, and they're all telling us the same thing, that consciousness seems to survive bodily death in a way that completely blows our understanding of this brain-based consciousness apart. That then leads us to taking seriously the accounts of the near-death experience.
Yes.
Now, many of those accounts, as you know, point to the reality of a Christian experience. But if you take the full body of that knowledge, it points to that not being an exclusively true club. What seems to emerge, and this isn't a huge leap, but it's just where the data has taken me, is that we are co-creators of reality, that there is this greater good, there is this light that we can access, and we are co-creators of it. So of course, Christianity, and in particular Christ consciousness, which I maintain is all any Christian can ever talk about, because the books are hopeless. No intelligently thinking Christian really relies on literal scripture. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm not gonna play the rest. Yeah, later, I talk about how I used to be a Gnostic and I used to believe in Christ consciousness, and now I realize that it's complete and utter horse crap. And I again later, you can listen to it. I go, well, why call it Christ consciousness if you don't believe in Jesus Christ? Why call it satanic ritual abuse if you don't believe in Satan, Alex? What's the point?
Does it always come back to Christianity? As I was trying to say before, what other institution have you seen out there fighting some of the most heinous evils on the planet consistently over centuries through different epochs or different phases of history since its inception or since its generation? The morals, values, and everything that's built up inside of that worldview, which is Christianity, loosely speaking, of course. It seems to have, and this is why it is under attack right now, very openly. You're going to see it be even more so under attack. And I'm not talking about the institutions. I'm not talking about the Pope. I'm not talking about even different denominational institutional representatives or structures. I'm talking about what is available to the seeker who is truly a servant of truth and truly a servant of life. And if he can't garner some value out of our holy text, then that's his loss. I'm sorry that he's blind, but there's a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and truth in those texts, and if he hasn't been properly taught how to understand it, or if it's, I don't know what it, I can't say where his disconnect is, but it seems like he has, he's got something stuck in his craw with Christianity for some reason. I can sort of understand it if you look at it, again, if you're looking at the institutions and if you're looking at the way they utilize power over the ages and manipulated people and the bad actors, which are humans who are fallen. So inevitably you're going to have not to mention the fact, if you're not looking at what happens throughout history through a good versus evil, and as a Christian, Satan versus the will of God, or the truth, then you're not really looking at things through the right prism. Or maybe, let me not phrase it that way. It would be more beneficial to look at it through that prism, because it can grant you a bit more potential understanding. So I don't know if I'm making sense over here, but I just think there's a lot of lost people in the world, and there's tons of people who claim to be seeking after the truth, but if they don't have a good mooring post to start with, if they're sort of floating out in the middle of all this chaos, which is the world, and trying to make sense of it without having any like fundamental grounding in truth, the eternal truth, then yeah, I mean, it's perfectly understandable that a fellow like him might get confused or misled, or skeptico. Is that what the showy?
Yes.
So he's a. I think he's wrestling with what most detached and uprooted individuals, people who have been cast into this world without any sense of grounding in their history generally, as well as their family's history, their national history, their ethnic history, and it's tragic, and that's part of the reason why this world is so messed up, is because people just can't get any kind of footing. It's like trying to walk up a mountain of sand. And if you don't have a pillar of truth, which you can always be tied to, you're going to get flung every which way.
Yeah.
And so he seems to be somebody, at least from my hearing here, that at least intimates that he has a sincere interest in the truth. But he doesn't know what truth is to begin with. And so not having a sense of what eternal truth is, it's, you're just, like I said, you're going to be blown about by the wind. And I don't know if I'm being too harsh in my judgment here, but I'm just, like I said, this is my first experience hearing this man's ideas, but I'm a critical asshole sometimes, and I prejudge a little bit too much on occasion. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise.
All right, let's continue.
But a lot of them are found.
95% of them, or
found
98% of them go back.
Yeah.
That's
but
just the number of reports.
That's kind of what I thought. Number of reports.
And probably half of those are like panic, like your kid's on the other side of the block, and you're like, holy fuck, my kid's missing.
Yeah. So they misconstrue that, I would say. It's not fair to say people get the sense that,
well, not somebody's taking that number and running with it.
That's what I mean. It's not, it doesn't help the case at all. You've got that on the one extreme, and then you've got the other extreme where people are just ignoring I don't even want to use satanic, because it's not fair to really use that word, because it seems just evil, but it might not be satanic. For some people, they might be doing a ritual ceremony that's not to Satan. It might be to something else, but that just gets ignored completely. Oh, it's not happening. People can't even talk about it.
What do you think about that? Why do you kind of pull up on the satanic thing? I mean, just take that, swallow that satanic ritual abuse. There's these people.
Because I feel like it's got that religious connotation to it. That might not be fair to people. There might be people that have a different view of Satan. I mean, we've heard it before. I'm not defending it at all. But like John Brisson was asking you, maybe you should, why can't we just call it ritual abuse, right? Or maybe ceremonial ritual abuse.
I don't think that's where John's coming from. John's a hardcore Christian.
Yeah, he was asking you why you can't. Why do you call it satanic if you're not coming from that Christian side? Why does it get all lumped into that? I don't think that's
the problem
a fair
with these
thing.
Frickin' Christians. That's how these Christians are frickin' complicit in this shit, and they don't even realize it.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem, I think, with the whole argument, is just taking.
Okay, I'm a hardcore Christian. I own that. Yes. I believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, who died on the cross for those who believe and have faith. I do. And he was resurrected and sits on the right hand of God the Father Almighty and left his Holy Spirit here on earth. I believe that, yes. If that makes me a hardcore Christian, I'll wear it proudly. I'm not ashamed. not.
Me neither.
And it ups. I mean, what else can I say that I'm not upset? I'm not. I shouldn't be surprised, I guess. But I will say this to you, Alex. If you ever say that I am complicit in the satanic ritual abuse and the evil that's going on in this world because I believe in Jesus, then you can fuck off. Because I have tried my best to bring light, to shine truth, and to get the information out in the world that evil does exist, that this does exist, that this goes on. The brownstone operations, the sexual blackmail, the human trafficking, the degradation of innocence. I've even accepted that one day I might put my life on the line. Like Garrett Caradori did, or Danny Castellero, or Michael Hastings, or Gary Webb, for the truth. I will not stand by and let you say that I'm complicit just because I'm a Christian. When you are complicit for sitting on the fence and think that you are better than everyone else, Alex, if you want to play the blame game, we can play the blame game.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. I mean, and maybe let's give him a little bit of grace. Like maybe it was not you particularly. Maybe he's projecting onto you all of his ideas about and frustrations with what he characterizes as Christian, right? Which I would argue probably. I mean, there are tons of problems that come under the people who call themselves Christians in the world today. You and I talk about this all the time. I mean, there's like
hold on. We gotta play that clip. You're jumping ahead. All right, you're jumping ahead. Lee, shout out to Lee, John and Lee show on Wednesdays. Lee's right. There's atheist abuse, there's agnostic abuse, and yes, tragically, there are abuse in all religions, including Christianity. Now, I would argue that the abuse that happens under the guise of Christianity, where those people were not practicing the tenets of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ said himself that if anyone leads children astray, a millstone should be hung around their neck, because it would be better for humans to end that person's life than for the wrath of God to be put upon them.
It would be better for that individual's soul.
Yes.
That they be cast out and snuffed out, rather than continue on to, cause so much suffering for others, but also bring the wrath of God upon themselves, which is their due.
So let's go to 135 to see that Alex does repeat this.
What do you do to try and make people aware? Like, how do you do it without getting caught up in it? I mean, I think that's kind of the.
I tried to stop paying taxes, but they said no.
Right.
Yeah.
They get you at the employer level because your boss won't stop paying taxes because they'll throw his ass in jail.
John?
You know, the one question, Graham, I'd have on that, which is always my question on all that stuff, both personally.
Yeah, Ensemble Vide, what's up?
Well, I think that again is a misunderstanding of the subtleties of different sects of Christianity, the Romans 13 thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think many Christians nowadays have been, and this again is through subversion. It is not a correct understanding of biblical teaching.
No.
that.
Even I discussed it with Alex on an episode, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, or even brought up Romans 13 as well. You know, but go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say that I discussed it too. So.
Yeah, as Christians, we are under no obligation to serve an evil government we are actually called to stand against it. And most Christians have been mistaught and have a completely messed up understanding of what we're called to do as Christians, which is why the world is in the plight that it is today, is because good Christian men and women are not standing on their principles. They're not standing up for what they claim to believe in, and they're not standing against evil.
No,
they have decided to sit at home on their pillows and think happy thoughts, and that's why the world's gone.
Or they've decided to
hell.
Or they've decided to give up.
Yep. And that's precisely not what we're called to do.
Yeah, you're right. Let's continue.
And I ask myself that,
Yeah,
it's like
you have a show, you have a voice, like you're writing a book on evil, like you're doing a lot to about this already.
To what extent does it really involve me is what I always ask. Like if it really is me, if it's me to jump in front of that car and pull that kid out of the way, that's me. But am I kind of putting me in there where it's not really me? You know what I mean? Because I'm doing that too, Am I doing it for the clicks or for, whatever, And
maybe because you can handle it though. I mean, you can handle this. A lot of people can't handle that. And it's the effort that you're putting into it. It's the intention. It doesn't even matter about the result. You're putting that into this subject, which will help. That's the way I believe it's a metaphysical thing. It's like
I'm not doing it to. I don't think it's gonna. No, I don't have that. I just, hey, let's just like both of all you guys and me. That's what we do. You just see something and you see. I guess what always pushes my buttons is just kind of outrageous bullshit. Like science is outrageous bullshit. Religion, it's outrageous bullshit. It's cult. And for like I said, the most important relationship you can have is the relationship of your consciousness with that highest representation of light, energy, spirit, whatever. And to give that up to somebody else, say, oh, no, my friend, here's how that works, and you shall follow this. You don't need that. You already know. You can connect at any point with that. Just go inside and you connect. And so that's my latest thing is like, I am going to hammer. No, I hammer on things. I'm going to hammer on that to no end. Because we let all these religious people who are socially engineered, controlled, just like the rest, and we give them a big pass, we give them a big hug, and we say, oh man, all those Satanists and the 666, and they're so after you, oh gosh, poor you. No, you're complicit in this. You've created this whole mess about why people feel guilty about stuff they shouldn't feel guilty about. Heck, you guys were I just talked to this awesome woman. She's got, the Shattered Reality podcast, Faruja, and she's a psychic in New York. She's just a cool person. I love her interviews. And they would have burned her a few hundred years ago, burned her at the stake, killed her. That's what they did. And they're still doing it, holding up their God hates fag signs and marching around the Westboro Baptist Church. No.
Yeah, but you got to be careful about that.
We're complicit in making people feel bad for sinning, Oh, yeah, I forgot, Alex. You're the ultimate example of a libertine. My bad. I apologize.
No, and I don't know what knowledge he pretends to claim if his whole ideological system is whatever feels good, whatever feels right. That's the epistemology of truth and right and good. Is, well, it feels right, doesn't it? Well, problem with that is different people feel different things about different things. So those pedophiles that he's talking about, that you, John, are somehow complicit in their suffering. Well, they're suffering because the person who did that to them thought it felt right, thought it felt good. And so I'm afraid that that's a really dangerous way to go about trying to sort out things in the
Robert
world.
Parker, you don't need religion to have any moral structure. Okay, you could do that all within yourself. It's all just within yourself. Okay, psychopaths and sociopaths don't exist. All right, Satan doesn't exist. Demons don't exist. Baal and Moloch don't exist. Even though in our interview he did mention that there were kind of like spirits of sort. You know, maybe that's what Christ consciousness is.
Well, here's the problem.
You can have entities that are some are good and some are bad. All right, but go ahead.
You know,
Sorry.
And you know what? You could argue that that's true, because, but that's failing to understand human nature and the way that human understanding and knowledge is preserved and transmitted, and how we make sense of the world around us. So if you want to take sort of a, well, they aren't real entities argument, you can still say, however, these caricatures that we've made provide a service to our understanding so that we can attach meaning to them, which helps us to have a better grasp of the forces that we're dealing with. But that's not going on here. It's, or maybe my problem is I just need to take a few more bong hits, and then I'll really know what the truth is.
I mean, I would argue now Alex is welcome to say what he believes, and he's welcome to have me back on or to come back. He's welcome to come on. We've read the documents. I'd love to have another debate with you again, Alex.
I think I was thinking that earlier. That's the real solution to this sort of impasse that seems to have been generated out of some.
I don't know what I did. I don't know. Every interaction I've ever had with Alex has been pleasant. I have no idea why all. I don't know if it's because he wrote this book, which, by the way, interesting that he sent Grammarica a draft of Why Evil Matters, but didn't do it to me, because I guess Alex has been following my work since then, and now since I'm a hardcore Christian, that negates anything he's ever said about me previously beforehand and about my work. But okay, fine. Maybe that's not true, Alex. Please let me know. Okay, we've read the documents at protonmail.com. You have my phone number, Alex. You have my phone number. You have my email. You're welcome to contact me at any time, and we can hash this out. All right. But the thing is, and I wouldn't even have brought this up publicly if you hadn't. You could have answered, and you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad you told the truth. I'm glad you told your truth when you were asked. You didn't sugarcoat it. You said exactly what you thought of me, all right? And yeah, I'm a hardcore Christian. I accept it. That's what I am. I believe in Jesus Christ. I do, with all my heart and all my soul, and I believe in God the Father. And if that makes me a hardcore Christian and you could say it with disdain in your mouth, then so be it. That's your soul on the line, brother, not mine, all right? But let's just say this for a minute. Just one last thing on this. You're a spiritualist, Alex. You can't frame it in any other way. You have your own religion. There is not a single person on this earth that does not have a belief system. You have one too! Jesus!
But seems like he doesn't even know what that is. But so what I was thinking could potentially be fruitful is, and I may have reacted a little bit emotionally to all this because I care about you, John, and I know who you are, and I know how deeply.
Yes, we've been friends for years.
How deeply you feel about things, and how ridiculously hard you work at your craft and your research. And so when somebody attacks you, I get a little pissed off. So I wasn't trying to be negative. I was just reading things as I saw them. And so I hope that he doesn't take personal offense. I'm just responding to the stimulus that I have been exposed to. And I could be completely wrong because I don't have a wide breadth of knowledge about this man's work or his ideas and ideals and ways that he's expressed things. But I did pick up on clear things I came across. But what I think would be particularly fruitful would be, okay, the real thing that seems to be an issue for him is he's got some idea about what Christianity is, and it seems to be a crusty, hard form. Maybe it isn't. But I think that what needs to be done is a fair and open conversation. Well, let's dig deeper into what your ideas are, what your problems are with that, so that we can clarify and make distinctions between, what his ideas are and what you are, because he's putting these things upon you, and I think very unfairly, and perhaps rashly and without thinking, because the situation and the conversation allowed for it, because the terminology came up and the idea came up, and you just happen to be caught in the middle. So maybe it wasn't intended to be a direct attack on you, John, and he may not have intended to insult you, but he was leaping off of the idea of Christianity, which he obviously has a major problem with. And I think
a bitter hatred, no less. I mean, to all religion, but there is this specific venom and hatred for Christianity.
And that's usually what happens. No, it's not. And it's not necessarily even his fault. I mean, it's just because of the information that he sees and the way that he experiences the world. So,
and the thing is, I still like Alex. Alex has been nothing but nice to me up until this point. And even now, I could consider it. If he's just busting my balls because that's how he sees it, yeah, I get it, Alex. I do. Come on here, let's bust each other's balls, again, I actually got you to concede the first show we ever did when you were trying to argue with me about conventional medicine not being corrupt in the Abraham Flexner report. I talked about how Abraham Flexner closed down all the schools to teach African Americans medicine, except for, I believe it was Howard University. I have to go back and look. It was one, and you actually capitulated to that. And I mean...
I don't think there should be here. I think there's an important point to be made here, because we all of us claim to be truth seekers here, and I know for my part, if I have somebody who disagrees with me, or who I have some sort of a contention or ideological or philosophical or something that isn't quite meshing well. The last thing I want to do is run away. The thing that I want to do, because I want to seek the truth, I want to understand. Maybe there is something. Maybe I can learn something here. Or maybe I can share something, clarify my brother's vision, so that he's not having his vision clouded with error.
Yeah.
And so, accepting criticism from my opponent is always a welcome thing, and I've said that many times to many people throughout my life, and most people don't take me up on it. Most people don't want to have those conversations because they're difficult.
And I do like Alex as an interviewer. Skeptico is a good show, and that Alex is able to ask the very difficult questions. I mean, he pressed Jim Mars on him being a Scientologist, all right? I mean, I have to give him credit where credit's due, and I don't mean any animosity towards Alex. It just caught me off guard. It caught me off guard, and I mean, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, I guess.
Well, it was just, I think it was just a callous sort of leaping off in the conversation. I'm not sure that, from what I heard, that he actually has animus towards you.
Well, yeah, but the part that's saying that I'm complicit. No. Hold on, RP. I mean, Ensemble Vide, hold on. The thing is he, listen to me, all right? He said to me, okay, that he said to me in the interview that I do my best to try to follow the facts, okay? And then in the show Grimerica, he told me that well, he didn't tell me, I guess, directly, but to them, that I'm complicit in all this. That's a spit in the face for everything I've tried to accomplish on this channel, let alone in my own personal life.
Yeah, that's pretty underhanded, and
he's lumping all Christians together. Actually, anybody who believes in a religion into one category. That's very narrow-minded, extremely narrow-minded.
Especially for somebody who, you know, is trying to navigate this world and understand it. That is kind of puerile or sophomoric.
Now I got a present for you, Ensemble Vide. Are you ready?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
My birthday?
It is your birthday, and today I'm gonna bring you some more of your favorite to close this evening. More of your favorite man ever, R. Wayne Steiger.
Oh boy.
Council for National Policy member, Gold Circle member, R. Wayne Steiger, also on the board of directors of the CNP. He's not Christian at all. As you can see, his channel is completely New Age. I would actually border on it being satanic. We've covered him before, both me, you, and Suzanne did. He uses the app FlowPay that a lot of 501c3 and a lot of churches use to collect their tithing. Very interestingly enough, that it's provided by this man. So why don't we play, which one do you want? Do you want more random thoughts on the journey? Do you want to cast a spell? Do you want random thoughts with R. Wayne Steiger? Which one do you want?
I don't know. I've avoided that man ever since we did that stream. I did my homework beforehand and have pretty much just, you know, I cringe. He's still in my YouTube feed just so I can see what titles he has. Because I'm just curious, you know, what's he pushing? But I will not. It is torture for me to have to tolerate that man. But you just love to torture me. Since you have surveyed the material, I think.
Hey, no, here we go. Here we go. Is Keck QAnon? Sound good? Let's do that one.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. It is Friday. And it is a fantastic day. How are y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in. Favor be upon you. And thank you for adding your beautiful energy to the conversation.
Love and light, brother.
Hello. Love and light. It's always goes down to love and light, don't it? Ensemble Vide. Always love and light, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But we're complicit. You and I are complicit, all right? We're complicit.
Does he still do the what did he used to do on those introductions where he basically does his little calling in of the spirits or goodwill and
he still does sometimes. Yes, he does. All right, let's continue.
Albert Smith, much love and health. South tried. Awesome day here in Colorado.
Yeah.
Fabulous day. Out working in the garden and you know, you just got to love it. So all in all, not too bad at all. And of course, when we get started, sounds like someone is...
I wonder if R. Wayne Steiger was ever to get together his psychic X-Men that he was trying to do, right? When he was trying to get together a whole bunch of psychics. You know, he's kind of be like Professor Xavier, you know, and he's got a psychic group together, you know. And yeah, I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
That's all hush hush.
He was legitimately trying to do that. That is not a joke.
Yeah, that's gone underground. They're really working.
Okay. I guess his ancestor supposedly communicating with Lilith and writing the Lilith primer and dying because he couldn't satisfy her her carnal succubus desires. Oh man, I tell you what, this is this Council for National Policy for you guys. When I say that they are in a veneer of false Christianity, that they act like they are, remember this man. Remember this man. They accept this man. They accept him. They use his services in the New Apostolic Reformation to collect their tithes. Do you get it?
Have money. That's what it's all about.
At my door, but they'll just have to leave a message. So anyway, thank you, moderators. Good to see y'all. Thank you for the fabulous job that you do. Hello, Susie Q. Joyce, good to see you. Beloved Abstract. Haley, good.
I'm going to skip a little bit further.
Yeah, it got a little serious. It did.
Yeah, this stuff is unbearable.
In this life, good to see for 2017.
Oh yeah. This is the grooming. This is how you keep people. This is how you keep people in the herd. Keep them coming back for more gruel. Let them know that you care about them.
Love and light. Love and light and infinite.
I'll touch you on the head just before I put the bullet in.
Love and light and infinite blessings. Okay, from R. Wayne Steiger. As I am a major member of the Council for National Policy, and I handle their they use my app to handle their intake of money. Okay, so
it's difficult sometimes, you know. You just say, did that happen then, or yeah? I read recently that many people are experiencing this phenomenon of being isolated, and they're apparently having experiences of having time speeding up and then seem to become very slow. I bet. Indeed. Hey, Dark, good to see you. I don't really remember yesterday.
Good to see you, Jolly Bridgeburg. Good to see you.
I didn't see if anyone had gotten this, but orange circle actually today was the blue wavy line.
Oh no, what does that even mean?
We're gonna get better at it. I'm looking forward to
remote viewing, I think.
Brian over at Milky Way Messenger.
They were doing remote viewing. I guess.
Okay.
All right, so let's get right to this, because this.
All right, are you ready? After he spent 5 minutes of going over who's in the chat and love and light and eternal blessings.
Petting everybody.
All right.
Everybody a little pet. Let them know. Itch them behind the ears a little bit. Keep coming back now, y'all. You hear?
He's got that cadence, that neuro-linguistic programming. It's kind of like you're sitting down with Grandpa Jebediah Clampett. All right, yeah, and he's gonna sing, and he's gonna tell you a story. All right, he's gonna tell you a couple of stories about how his ancestor summoned Lilith and had didn't survive.
About Satan.
Oh, it's so true. Oh man, he is the okay. I said in the stream, R. Wayne Steiger is the embodiment of the spirit of Python. He is the embodiment of the spirit of divination. All right. He is the CMP's
lady in.
Yes, he does. The CMP's embodiment of the spirit of Python. It's ridiculous.
And his shirts that he wears.
Keep on trucking.
Next week, by the way, Nancy will be on. Things just didn't work out on my end, and so looking forward to that. Consciously Aware says, that happens every day. I said, yeah, it's true. It's weird.
Come on, get to it.
It appears.
I thought you already did some prep on this.
No, I just chose one at random. I can't listen to our Wayne Steiger unless I have to.
beware of ancient gods.
I feel for you.
Here we
is
go.
all
What
I
it's
can
like.
say. So I put together a program that it's really weird because when you go back and you look at all the events that led up to this, and is Q really Keck? I mean, that's, you know, it is said that the deity
What's the date
Keck
on that?
was accidentally
It's been about a couple of months ago.
released.
Okay.
Something happened in the ether, something happened with human beings, and something happened in this net. And
Is this when Thomas Schoenberger and Michael Flynn connect with the Clockwork Elves when they met up with Joe Rogan to do a hit of DMT? And they're like, "Hey, R. Wayne Steiger, let's combine QAnon and Keck and throttle the New Age mysticism to 11." Oh, so true. Oh,
Let them
yeah.
have it.
So, okay, let's continue.
we all realize symbolism is a language. Each one of those symbols, you can look at it and you know exactly what it's saying. And you can take the symbol and begin to subdivide it. That to which you give your devotion to is what you worship. Think about it. To define
Devotion, worship?
sovereignty is to be autonomous, free from external control.
Okay. Are we doing definition time here?
I think if there's one thing we established this week in our get-togethers is that it is an illusion that humanity is sovereign. We may be sovereign in our divinity, we may be sovereign in our essence, but as a physical species, it's been quite clear that we are not free from external control. Dare I say, internal?
Whoa.
All right, here we go.
Totally tubular, man. Let me take another
What a
hit.
profound revelation.
I smoked 2 joints in the morning. I smoked 2 joints at night.
Wait, you mean to tell me that
Oh.
humans might resemble cattle in some ways?
You're gonna tell me that gnosis is the only way to salvation? Oh, oh, jeez. Oh.
Oh, the theme to this is very interesting. It's the white rabbit. Typically, you'll see it. But more importantly, trust the plan. Now, this says that...
Hold on, that
boom, free, think.
Okay, what?
See, I think he knows what he's doing.
Oh!
He's connecting Lewis Carroll with Trust the Plan. You see that?
Ah!
That's a little wink there.
Oh, yeah, that's never been ever follow the white rabbit. Oh, that's never... Huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
For yourself. You can see everything that's the Great Awakening. Interesting that a political party would adapt such a slogan. Now, I'm not saying that the Trump has, but it seems that there are elements within that ideology that have seized upon the Great Awakening. Now, I don't know what we're awakening to. I'm gathering it's something. Don't know. The symbol is interesting. It continues to grow.
Wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to know what the symbol meant when we looked at it.
This is Deep Thoughts with R. Wayne Steiger. All right. This is about as deep as it goes. Okay.
Well, this is the problem with this kind of ideology, where it's like truth is whatever feels right, because that's what he's selling people. It's like if it
Yes.
feels good, it's the right thing. We can just look at a symbol and know what it means without any context, any historical understanding, any fundamental scientific knowledge. We can just look at it and know what it is.
When we read books, especially the Bible, we do eisegesis. We make everything about ourselves instead of exegesis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean the Old Testament proves Jesus Christ to come. So R. Wayne Steiger seems like a person where he's always trying to fit himself into the narrative. Little G has or maybe he considers himself to be a big G, which is hilarious.
No, that's his new nickname, is Little G.
Little G R. Wayne
Little
Steiger.
G. Yo, what's up, Little G? R. Wayne Steiger in the house.
We'll find out this is not new. In fact, that when I got hip to this, kind of shook my head and I went, huh. I didn't even see that. Completely missed it. Many others did, but many of us are seeing the connection. Trust the plan and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to light some candles.
We're talking about magic. Mimi magic. Symbols. Sigils.
Mimi magic. Mimi magic. You're talking about Mimi magic.
What the fuck is this?
This is like Grandpa discovered QAnon, but Grandpa also was a New Age hippie during the New Age hippie movement. This is like.
No, I mean, I can't. You know, it's.
Oh, we got it. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. It's getting late. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. 5 more minutes.
Logos are very powerful. So, are we looking at the same thing here? Has Pepe the Frog, other words, also known as Keck, has it become the IMQ? This is really interesting.
Has it become Jesus? That's what he's trying to say. As stupid as this is.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he's got a picture of Jesus wearing a shirt that says I am Q with a Make America Great Again hat. And then down below it is G.I. Pepe, a real American hero with Trump and Pepe the Frog kecking along.
All right, now I'm interested. I want to see where he takes.
This is where President Kennedy is buried at.
It's a Q.
It's amazing what you can make out of things that you see all the time.
It's also
So
kind of like a
here's the
circle with
question.
like a ellipsis and a off-shooting road, but
Is this
it's not really a
just
Q.
a small incidental group of like-minded individuals that are being classified as far right in their ideology, or is something else going on here? Something else very old.
Is this something else very old? Is this something else very old? Or
It might.
or do you know 2016 was that one? Huh. Wonder how old R. Wayne Steiger is going to say it is. Okay, let's continue. Time traveling?
You know, I said this week,
Kekistan?
what happened to all the ancient gods? Yeah, you think about Enki, Enlil, Yahweh, Marduk, Moloch, Lucifer. I mean, we could just go right on down the list.
What about Og?
When you look at Egypt and the influence that Egypt had on the world and still does, I showed you the book I'm reading right now that shows that their first pharaoh was not at the same place that we were. And
Might be right about that.
That in our ignorance of the very technology that we built, not so sure we created it, but built, that unbeknownst to us.
All right, here, let's see what he says about this.
Here's where Hillary Clinton screwed up. And I bet she regrets it every single day. Hillary Clinton declared
She screwed up when
was
she
at
had those two
war-
kids killed on the railroad tracks.
No, she screwed up long before then. But he's about to say Hillary Clinton declared she was at war with the frog. Hillary is now. And he misspelled I don't know.
That's what did her in.
I mean, Hillary's got two L's, Arwayne Steiger. Hillary, not Hillary. Hillary was declared she was at war with the frog, Kek. Hillary is now cursed. She has brought the wrath of Kek.
This mimetically, this you could potentially surmise that, right?
Yes.
You remember the spirit of Kek and its mimetic power that it seemed to have and represent. So, I mean, you can craft a narrative around that if you really wanted to. I think it's nice as a children's bedtime story. I don't know that it has much.
Something went wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of a basic narrative and one that I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. Not to say that mimetic warfare and mimetic magic is something that is used. It is. Now I would say it's usually used with evil intent. It's something that I am not a fan of. That's why Discord
it's
groups
manipulation.
That's why Discord groups I might call memes funnies to try to bring them back to a time period where it was the funny papers after all. Town a jester would make a joke. I kind of wanted to show one last thing where we go is when we covered Arwayne Steiger, he read a book. Of course he did one on adrenochrome. So adrenochrome is real to Arwayne Steiger. I want to make that known. And here is him talking about the book that was written by his ancestor, The Mysteries of Forbidden Knowledge as Told by Lilith, Queen of the Heartlets. But he read a book and pretty much said that the worship of Jesus is Baal worship, which is a grave heresy to say such a thing.
Does he at least offer some kind of a argument where he draws some parallels between the two?
No, he said Jesus was a sacrifice of God's child, therefore it's the same thing of sacrificing your kids to Baal or Moloch.
Okay, so then, wow, that is.
And that's what was in the book he read. They were drawing.
People
that.
were buying that.
He's got 41,000. He's got 41,000 subscribers. I mean,
application.
Tell me. I think it's. I mean,
really, that's all he hinged it on.
I think it's ludicrous. No, he read from a book, but he didn't disagree with the book. He agreed with it. So, and of course he's interviewed. He's interviewed Richard Allen Miller, and Richard Allen Miller has ties to that whole Thomas Schoenberger Flynn nexus as well, CMP nexus.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it all makes sense. The more you research it, the more you see it. I mean, Lee Veltman's seen a lot of the connections. Other people too, not only just myself. It's all there. It's all there.
If you read the old Gnostic Gospels, it makes perfect sense. If you want to look at it through that paradigmatic lens, what he's doing is he's fighting for the lower god of this world, who generally sort of or generically Christians would say is Satan.
Yeah.
But he is the son of darkness. And so that's what he's proffering, is the God that we should serve is the God of darkness.
Which
is why everything he says is so damn confusing.
Yes. I mean, on top of that, he's like, I'm grandpa, and I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm just friendly old R. Wayne Steiger. I used to be a Christian if I ever was. Not one now. It was all a lie. And I do a show called Not Just Your Average Morning Sunday School with Jeffrey Doherty. He used to be a former pastor who now says Christianity is a lie. And we're going to expound New Age horse crap to you. And I'm still going to have my position in the CMP, a very high up one, may I add. I'm on the board of directors, after all. And I paid to be in the gold circle of $50,000 a year. I'm R. Wayne Steiger.
Don't forget to add in there, and I spit in the face of the Lord God, creator of all that is in existence.
Yes, which is what he does.
I serve as bastard.
But, is there anything you want to finish in closing? Ensemble Vide, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you had fun. I had to bring out the R. Wayne Steiger. I know how much you love him, how he's your favorite.
I had a good time. I just hope that I represented my ideas.
Oh yeah, everybody loved
drag on too long.
No, everybody loved us in the chat. I mean, we got 17 likes. I'm pretty sure we probably got a few downvotes because I get them now, no matter whomever is on.
I'm just a guy trying to seek the truth, and yeah, I'm keeping my garden here. And
you're not Owen Benjamin.
No. However, I am very suspicious of people with. I have to admit that. But I'm just a guy. I can totally be wrong. I just wish I had more opportunities to speak to real people who are actually seeking the truth, so that we can hammer some of this stuff out, so that I can bring some of what I've got to them, and they can bring some of what they've got to me, and I can have a clearer view of reality, and they can have a clearer view as well in that interchange. And sadly, the way the system has been gearing things is there aren't any social spaces anymore for men to gather and just talk shit. There aren't any billiard halls anymore. There aren't any smoking rooms.
Town hall, town open spaces. You don't have a town crier anymore or anything like that. I guess we're the town criers now.
We're in the process with this whole COVID thing and everything else that's going on of a complete reprogramming of humanity and a deprogramming, rather, of humanity. We're supposed to be deprogrammed of what's left that we still have a slight connection to of our nature, and they wish to write upon us a new name, make us a blank white stone, so that they can write a new name for it. And we have to reject that, and we have to strive to serve life, to serve truth, and to serve our fellow man as much as much as they may be lost and confused and hopelessly lost, to the point where they're never going to be able to get to where we are, as far as actually being able to wrestle with some of the hard truths about our reality. But we have to take a lesson from Christianity, folks. But our job is to be good shepherds, like our our master. As Christians, we consider Christ our master. And we have to be sensitive, and we have to, there is a place for the heart, pivotal.
Yeah.
That's the place where you start. Semantically, things get all messed up. When you're not actually speaking to the man, but you're speaking at the man, because you have these preconceived notions about who and what they are without having had the conversation to probe and find out what they really stand for. So I would urge, as the lesson for tonight is, it's okay. We have to have our framework for trying to view and understand the world, and we have to have our little red flag rigged alarms that we set up around the perimeter of our ideology, where if somebody comes across that line and they, have this, say they're a Christian, say I'm a pure skeptic, and as soon as somebody crosses that line and they're a diehard Christian, that little jerry-rigged ideological alert system is on the perimeter around my ideological house, my stronghold. And so when somebody comes across there, that sends up a flag, and that's good. Everybody does that. We all come from a certain place, and when we venture out, we know that because we are the way that we are, that there are certain threats and there are certain things that might be problematic for us. So, but what I'm saying is, let's start trying to build bridges. Let's not be too ingrained, and allow for open and honest and good discourse amongst people who are truly seeking after the same thing, ultimately, the truth. And, we can have our disagreements, but we should talk about those disagreements.
Yeah. That's what I try to do on this channel.
Without taking it too personally. I mean, in the immediate sense, yeah, we're gonna react. Somebody says something that really hurts us, we're gonna react. That doesn't mean that we can't take time to meditate upon that and to reflect upon that and see if there's anything that we need to learn from that criticism.
Or ask, or ask for forgiveness for God for
our shortcomings and
for
our
shortcomings, and ask the person their forgiveness too. I'm not perfect. None of us are.
We're all human creatures. We all have an animal nature. We all have a higher nature. And the synthesis between those things is very difficult, especially in this modern age where we have, most people have little to no opportunity to truly synthesize that dynamic, to engage with real reality. That is, everybody's plugged in, everybody's on their devices, everybody's running the rat race and the hamster wheel to make that dollar so they can pay their fucking bills and their mortgage. Everybody's being assaulted with propaganda and, advertisements and social pressures to fit in with the group.
Keep up with the Joneses.
So, yeah. And to keep up ideologically, people can't speak freely in public anymore. We are drifting so far, and our roots have been cut so deep that I fear there's little hope for preserving some of the things of value which we as human creatures desperately need. And getting caught up in these petty ideological disagreements and making those the wedges that are gonna really divide us, I think is foolish. And I hope that, in good faith, people can put their stuff on the table and respect one another. That's the other thing that struck me. He doesn't. He said something to the effect of, "I don't respect your religion, your religious beliefs." It's like, ooh, whoa, man, that's pretty fucking harsh.
Yeah.
How the fuck are we supposed to have a conversation? Because that's, I mean, we all come from someplace different. Even within Christianity, or even within a denomination, people come from someplace different. We have different lived experiences. We have different gifts. We have different personality types. Our brains work differently and function differently. It takes all kinds. We need to serve each other with the gifts that we have. None of us is perfect. That's the thing that causes me the most concern about, any fruit coming from a potential discussion, is the fact that, this guy's unabashedly said, "Nah, I don't respect you. I don't respect shit. Just give me the data." And that's why I said right away, is like, data, information is dead. It comes to life when it is transmuted through man's consciousness. And so I don't know.
And
I don't know.
and through the Holy Spirit.
Yes. And that's the key. Man's reason can carry us so far. But...
Yes. And man does have an ability to reason. God has given us that. But without communion with the Holy Spirit, it's incomplete.
It is. It truly is. And if you think it's not, I'll just say for my part that, you know what, I thought that I was pretty darn smart, and I found a wholeness in my spiritual life that there was a deep void in my world and in my consciousness and in my heart prior to.
You're right, Robert. I mean, Ensemble Vide, you're right. And I agree. I agree. It's getting late. I am tired. It was different from when I came to the Lord again and renounced my Gnosticism and heretical beliefs, and I used to be love and light and all that other bullcrap, even though I always believed in the divinity of Jesus Christ. It was different than when it was different when I came back into the fold. Though some would argue I never left. And I really, realized, communion with the Holy Spirit, it's different. I want to leave you with a quote. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
From R. Wayne Steiger: "Man is nothing more than artificial intelligence himself."
That says it all.
That's deep. Good night, brother.
Well, let me just throw one addendum.
Okay.
A little bit we were talking about there is, being a Christian and having taken the road that I've taken over the years, transformed myself and going through different phases and running down many blind alleys and consuming a lot of information and a lot of esoteric information. I'm not one to sit here and judge people who are taking explorative paths and condemn them by any means. Because ultimately, a lot of those people, they're seeking truth. They desperately want it. They're hungry for it. They're salivating for it. It's not their fault that they weren't gifted with an opportunity to understand certain things in their early life. So they've basically been sent adrift, and so they're doing their best. Their nature and their spirit is crying out for the truth, and they're digging and they're going wherever they can find bits and pieces of it. And you can find truth in all corners, because truth is self-evident. It's built into the fabric of reality. Reality is true. Okay? And these various different systems, they get bits and pieces of it. And there's nothing wrong with... I don't want to invalidate people's experiential experience of truth when they go into those places, because it is real that they get what they find. And I would just say that it's incomplete. And it's kind of like just getting a taster from a drug dealer. And the taster they give you is full dose. And most of the other crap they sell you when you come to them with your cash is, it's heavily cut and it's mixed with a bunch of bad stuff. So, you can find truth in other places, because truth is true and it exists in reality, and the Creator has made it, and we were made to receive it. So I would just say you can. I don't know. I don't want to.
But remember,
you
can't. Remember, you can't get the full truth though. However, without the Holy Spirit, though.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you get bits and pieces. You get some pretty good stuff out there. It's pretty interesting stuff, and you get a lot of stuff that'll keep your mind going and your intellect engaged. But it's not really feeding your soul.
Yeah. You're right.
So forgive me for all my rambling tonight. I hope I was able to get something across that meant something to somebody.
You did, and people enjoyed you. And I want to thank you for having you on, and we're gonna have you on again. And then I'm tired. But good night, Ensemble Vide. I'll talk to you soon. Good night, everybody. God bless you. I get kind of low energy when I get sleepy. But take care, everyone. God bless you.
Walk through the garden, you better watch your back. Well, I beg your pardon, walk a straight and narrow track. If you walk with Jesus, he'll save your soul. You gotta keep the devil down in the hole. Got the fire and the fury at his command. Well, you don't have to worry if you hold on to Jesus' hand. We'll all be safe from Satan when the thunder rolls. You gotta keep the devil way down in the hole. Jesus' mighty soul, and they shield you with their wings, keep you close to the Lord. Don't pay heed to temptation, or his hands are so cold. You gotta keep the devil me down.